Hi, Jack.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm good. Tired, but good.
Okay. Well, I want to start with an easy question then,
Oh.
hopefully. What was the first album you ever bought?
The first album I ever bought. Um, you know what? I'm not sure. I remember, okay, so the first. I really remember the first album I ever bought. Actually, I bought online. I remember buying it on iTunes and like downloading it and stuff. And because I'd had CDs in the house as a kid, and I was very lucky that like all my family knew that I loved music a lot and would get like buy me
Sure.
CDs and stuff. But I remember one of the first albums I bought for myself. I think. No, it can't. It can't have been that. I honestly, I have no idea.
Well, one that you were given then early on, one that has
Well, I
stuck
mean,
with
I
you.
remember like getting really into Tom Waits when I
Okay.
was. Oh, yeah. No, I remember being really into Tom Waits actually as a kid when I was about 15, 14, and I remember a friend of mine told me about him, and I wasn't sure what album to get first because they all seem to be so different. They all seem to have such different moods to them. So I ended up buying it was an album called Used Songs, which is a compilation album of his from, I think it's like, I actually can't remember the years of it, but it's like late 70s into early 80s, and it was incredible. I burnt through that. It was the only thing I listened to for about 6 months. I absolutely love that album.
Looking back, what made Tom Waits so good?
Well, this is the thing that still makes him so great. His ability to conjure up stories through incredible imagery, but also to use music as a like he very cleverly used music as a bed to support his lyricism. I think, or at least that's kind of how I listen to his music. I don't ever his music never gets in the way of what he's trying to say. Like it never gets in the way of the message he's giving. He's always very clear about what a song means and how he wants that song to come across. And I remember always really appreciating that because his lyrics were always so different with every song. And sometimes they were very similar, but it also meant that his music therefore was very different at times, but then also very similar at other times. I don't know, it just kind of, he had a great way of doing things different to how he would do them, which I just think is always a really fascinating thing to find in an artist. Yeah.
And then maybe a song or two that stuck out for you in that period?
There's a couple of songs on that album in particular that I love, but just songs of his in general. I really love Mr. Siegel, which is a song. I think. Oh God, I'm gonna get this wrong now. It's either on Rain Dogs or it's on Swordfish Trombone. I might be completely wrong about both of that. I probably am. But it's an incredible song, and the lyrics of it are amazing, and the imagery of it is unbelievable. I could listen to that song forever if I wanted to. And then a complete opposite end of the scale, a song of his called Johnsburg, Illinois, which is about his wife, and it's beautiful, and it's just him and piano, and it's one of the only songs of his that came after his first album called Closing Time, where he actually sang with a clean voice rather than going all gruffy and going and pushing his voice. And it's just a love song about his wife. It's like 2 minutes long, and it's beautiful. Yeah, I love that he can, within the same time span of like 3 or 4 years, have these two songs which are so far from each other, but so closely related. Yeah.
And you say you were 14, 15 around this time?
Yeah.
How heavily, because you grew up in a musical household, so how heavily were you into music? Were you already writing your own songs?
Yeah, I was already writing my own songs by that point, and had been writing music since I was 11 or 12, maybe. My mum was a music teacher and had a digital 8-track that she had at home because of recording at schools and stuff. She'd have to record classrooms for like end of year or end of term assessments and stuff like that. And she'd bring this thing home and I'd just steal it and use it all the time. I think she even maybe reported it as being broken once so that she could then get another one under the budget from the school she was working on, which meant that the one that I used all the time could just stay at home, which was very, very, very sneaky of her, but also amazing because it just meant that I had one.
But she was very supportive.
Incredibly supportive. Both my mum and dad were so like hugely supportive of anything that I showed passion in. And they would encourage me to find passion. Like passion is an interesting thing because it can come so instantaneously, but it also can be something that wants to be found. Like I'm not the biggest sports fan, so therefore I decided I didn't like sports. And my dad pushed me a bit into different sports and I found passion for some of them, you know. Had he not been the one to encourage me to go and try these sports, and in some cases, forced me to go and do these sports, I probably would have never done it. But I was a huge fan of basketball as a kid growing up and got really into dance as a kid and got really into rowing as well, because I was given the opportunity to just go and try those things. But music that's been a instinctive passion of mine ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, was there a moment then that you kind of realized this was a passion of yours because you grew up in it? So
actually, the moment I realized that it was a passion of mine was when I realized that it wasn't a passion for everyone else.
Okay.
Like I went to primary school. This was like when I was about 5 or 6.
Sure.
You know? You go to primary school and you meet new children and you meet new kids and they turn out to be your friends. And then you realize the things that make you different from them and the things that make them different from you. So there would be kids talking about sports all the time and I just wouldn't understand any of it. But then I try and talk to them about music and they would not understand me. And that's when I realized that, the musical part of my brain was something that I couldn't explain. And it wasn't something that everyone else shared, that I had a unique part of my character, and that was music.
And you say your mother was a music teacher.
Yeah.
Is there one lesson that she kind of gave you about music that has stuck with you?
No, more than anything, it's just the encouraging attitude. Okay. She was never my music teacher.
No,
I know, I understand, but she instilled in me in the same way that my dad did. Just you have to love the thing that you do, or you have to find a way to love the thing that you do because, and you won't always love the thing that you do, but you don't always love everything, Sure. Just like they opened up this idea to me that if you have passion and good intent and you are true in what you want to do, then you've succeeded and you've won and you've done it kind of thing. That no matter what happens beyond that, if you're able to feel passion for something and love something, ultimately that's the gold, which is something I still keep to heart today, even though everything at the moment is going very well, things are going well and people are starting to know who I am, but because of the music I make and are starting to respect that, and some people on the opposite end are not doing that, and because they have the opportunity to listen to it, gaining fans and not gaining fans are
Sure.
equally as important because ultimately it means that people are listening to my music. Had that not, if that wasn't the case, I would like to think that I would still be as content with where I am, because the important thing for me is that I'm happy with what I'm doing and proud of what I'm doing.